Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. We will actually be using a block for a couple of things that I wouldn't mind you having something like a block for. If you don't have yoga blocks, it's totally fine. Find a thick book. Maybe that'll do the trick. You can also just kind of imagine. You can stretch your imagination along with the other stretches that we'll do today. I always think it's great to have a folded towel, something you can pad your knees with just in case. A chair for balance, and also we work it into some of our flow sometimes as an option. A bolster, which could just be the cushion from your couch, is a great asset to have nearby. And though I am standing on a yoga mat and I am barefoot, you don't have to be either. You can do this without a yoga mat. Just find maybe a rug or a carpeted area in your house that's not too slippery. And feel free to keep your shoes on if that feels more comfortable to you. This is our first moment to use the block that I suggested, or something that you're using for a block. We often, if you do these classes with me, start in Tadasana, mountain pose, and we will do that today, but with a block in our inner thighs. With the block in our inner thighs, you can kind of squeeze that block in between your inner thighs. It's bringing us to a midline, a plumb line. And I talk about that sometimes as I'm teaching. And now you're experiencing it, and you're experiencing it in our Bedrock Pose. So let's build from the ground up. We've got all four corners of our feet pressing into the ground, or maybe into your shoes if that's what you've got going on. Little soft bend in our knees, even though with the block where it is, you sort of feel like locking your knees out. Let's try not to do that. Imagine that you are like those Pez candy distributors, and you're trying to spin your block to spit it out back behind you. Turn your palms away from one another. Let that smile your collarbones open. Your chin is parallel to the ground, and you can lean your head back, which is different from hoisting your chin to the sky. Lean back as if you almost were trying to make a double chin. I know nobody wants a double chin, but just so we don't misunderstand, chin forward with head back. And then let's get still here. Let's get still and feel this midline suggested by our block. We'll do our sun salutations with our block in place. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, extend your heart. You're tractioning your hands on your thighs, but you also feel a little hug of that midline with your block. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and then inhale, be a Pez dispenser. Spit that block behind you even though it's not going anywhere as we rise, and then stand into your mountain. Again, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. We have a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Sense that midline. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Stand into your mountain. Chair pose with our block where it is. V shape overhead, shift your weight into your heels and sit back like you're sitting in a somewhat uncomfortable chair, and then stand and float your arms along your sides with your palms facing out. Chair pose, inhale. You're still a little bit of a Pez dispenser. You're spinning that block behind you, although it's not really moving. And then stand, palms face out, and we pause. Twice more. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, V shape. And then stand and float your arms along your sides. Chair pose, V shape. Let's pause here a moment. Try not to wear your shoulders in your ears. I know it's tempting, but with your thumbs to the sky, you'll find a little bit more freedom, and maybe a little wider V is helpful too. Now, can you hug your block a little bit with your inner thighs? Those are called the adductor muscles, and they bring things to a midline. So they are what bring your legs together, and your legs are trying to come together, but there's a block in the way, and now we get to really experience what those muscles are in us. Stand up, float your arms along your side, palms face out. One last little moment to feel our mountain pose with our midline. and then spit your block out and off to the side and just out of the way for now. Let's set up our chair in front, so the seat facing you, and maybe you want to use your 2 blocks now, so we'll set them off the sides of our mat, and if you don't have a mat, just kind of imagine that you don't want them right underfoot. Let's stand in our mountain facing our chair with our blocks nearby in case that's where we go with it. And even though there's no block there, imagine that the ghost of the block lives on. Chair pose, inhale, as if there were still a block there, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Take your hands either onto your chair base or bring your blocks into the mix. Step your left foot back. So we're in a lunge shape, and this is just our blueprint for what's yet to come. Swing your right hip back and your left hip forward. It's going to be subtle. There won't be a huge amount of movement there. Now come upright, thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side, and slowly straighten your front leg. But let's do this so slowly that you feel like there is an imaginary block still there in between our inner thighs, even though clearly there's no block there and there kind of couldn't be. Pause for a moment and see how midline is helpful to balance, right? Brings us into a middle ground. We'll stay for a few moments here. Then rebend your front knee. Take your hands to your chair or to your blocks. Step your left foot hip distance from your right. Imagine that the block is there. Hands on your thighs. Inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, chair pose, thumbs to the sky, and then stand and pause and breathe. Again, chair pose, thumbs to the sky, our V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward and then hands to your chair or your block. Step your right foot back. We'll find our lunge. I think a little heel toe of your left foot to the left, some sideways space is helpful. Already, feel that ghost of the block in your inner thighs. The adductor muscles we talked about, come upright, thumbs to the sky, our arms are out to the side. And then we'll go so slowly as we straighten our front leg and imagine a block is still there. And hopefully that's a bit helpful to determining where balance lives. We'll stay with it. Sometimes the hold gets a little bit wobbly, for me too. Can you come back to the sensation of the block and its teachings? 3 moments here. Rebend your front knee. Take your hands to your blocks or the seat of your chair. Step your right foot hip distance. Pretend that there's a block there as we keep our knees bent and extend our heart forward, hands on thighs. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky. And then stand and pause in your mountain. We'll use our adductor muscles, so those muscles that bring our legs together in our next pose. There are a couple of different ways to do it. Take a chair pose, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Then standing on your left leg, step your right foot over so it's like a crisscross. Now there are a few ways to do this. I actually should have told you to take your blocks out of the way beforehand. There are a few ways to do this. It was partly because I was turning to talk to you. You can step your right foot over and make a kickstand and use the back of your chair with your left hand to find a little bit of balance. It could be, so we've got our crisscross. Now instead of a block, we have our actual thighs, yeah? Now you can take your arms out in front of you, thumbs to the sky, cross your left elbow on top of your right and give yourself a hug if you'd like. Maybe you even take your eagle feathers to the sky. It might be that you take your kickstand up and you're just seated as if cross-legged in what's called eagle pose. So you're standing on your left leg, your right leg is wrapped around. It can also be a kickstand. You can keep your arms out to the side and use something as an assist on that left hand, so like the back of your chair. 2 moments. Appreciate the crisscross of arms and legs. So our midline is now well represented. And then carefully unwind your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. You may want to use the back of your chair to dismount back into mountain. and we'll pause. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side. Stand on your right leg now and just crisscross, like we're seated cross-legged, your left toes onto the ground. That's perfect. Arms out in front of you, maybe, unless you want to keep your hand on your chair for balance. Cross your right elbow over your left, give yourself a hug. Maybe even bring your eagle feathers to the sky. And you can be playful with taking that the bottom kickstand up a little bit. Make sure that you feel this crisscross, like you're squeezing a block with your inner thigh, so it feels supported as we're here and we've got a real sense of our midline. 2 moments just as we are. Now unwind your arms out to the side, probably use your chair to unravel left foot hip distance from right, and now we're standing in our mountain. And even in our mountain, we feel that sensibility of our block. Facing your chair, I've turned to look at you, but maybe you were facing your chair the whole time. Your blocks are situated not underfoot. I wasn't the best example of that a little earlier. Chair pose, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Standing on your right foot, take your left knee up and over for a kickstand, or maybe floated above the ground. Arms out in front of you, right elbow on top as you give yourself a hug, or your eagle arms go to the sky. Now I want us to be very careful that we do not get our head lower than our hips, and I'm going to suggest that your chair is a good idea. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Take your left knee into your chest. Carefully step back, using your hands maybe on the base of your chair or on your blocks, and then come upright into a crescent pose and pause. Keep your arms out to the side. This one's tricky, just do your best. You can always touch down with your left foot if you want to. Stand on your right leg, take that left knee up and over, so maybe it touches down, you get your bearings, left knee up and over. Right elbow on top as you give yourself a hug, or your eagle arms if you want to go there. And then let's unravel. Thumbs to the sky, left foot hip distance from right. Stand into your mountain. That was pretty fancy, don't you think? Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side. This time, stand on your left leg. Take your right leg up and over for our kickstand. Take your arms in front of you unless you want to keep holding on to something. It's left elbow on top as you hug yourself, or find your eagle arms and feel free to play with lifting that kickstand up a little bit. Unwind your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Carefully, right knee into your chest. Step it back, hands can come to your chair or onto your blocks. We come upright into Crescent Pose, thumbs to the sky. We're not here long. And then remember, you can touch down. So right knee into your chest, maybe you touch it down and then bring it up and over for our kickstand. Arms in front, left elbow on top for your hug or your eagle arms as we return to them. And it's still the information of the block. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Maybe use your hand on the back of your chair, unwind and stand hip distance into your mountain. Great. We'll do that one more time. Chair pose, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Stand on your right leg, take your left knee up and over for a kickstand, your right elbow on top for a hug or your eagle arms. Unwind your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Take your left knee into your chest. Maybe you even try to step back without putting your hands on the base of your chair straight upright. Not if it's too wobbly or if you're a little concerned about the step back. So you can always use your hands as we did on the chair and on the blocks. Maybe you do this without putting your hands on the chair base. Also, stand on your right leg, left knee up and over, right elbow on top for your hug or your eagle arms. And then carefully unwind your arms and unwind your legs and stand into your mountain. Second side, second time, chair pose, thumbs to the sky, our arms are out to the side. Stand on your left leg, take your right leg up and over. And then left elbow on top for your eagle arms or your hug. Unravel, arms to the side, right knee to your chest. Maybe you don't use your chair base, maybe you do. Step back into your crescent. From Crescent Pose, stamp into your left leg, thumbs are to the sky. Right knee up and over, maybe without touching down, maybe you like the blocks. Left elbow on top for your hug or your eagle arms. And then unwind your arms, thumbs to the sky. Carefully dismount, right foot hip distance from left. Pause in your mountain and remember the feeling of the block and how that educated for all of us the poses that we just flowed together. And hopefully made it a little easier to balance. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands come onto your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Take your hands onto the chair or your blocks as an assist to mindfully come onto the ground. Move your chair out of the way if you've been using it. It's a pretty great tool, I find. And then find your thick book or block that you were using for the inner thigh work that we did at the beginning of the practice and have that within reach but not on your workspace. We'll lie down and with our feet hip distance, take your block, not its widest, so let me make sure that this is super obvious, not its widest, maybe its thinnest, possibly even the medium size. So whether it's a book or a block, you have all of those options, I think. If it is a book, you probably want to do the medium option and then lie down on your back. Your feet are hip distance. Our block is in our inner thigh, just like when we stood in our mountain pose and did that. I want you to be very, very careful. Keep your head on the ground. I'm kind of lifting mine to make sure I'm looking at you, but keep your head on the ground. Squeeze your block a lot. Stamp into your feet. And then just lift your hips an inch and bring them back down onto the ground. So you really do feel the effect of our block as we come into an easy, carefully constructed bridge. So lift your hips just an inch, squeeze your block, and imagine your tailbone trying to get long towards your block. And release it down. We'll do 2 more of these really easy, just an inch up. Lift up, squeeze your block. Stamp into your feet and then lower back down. 1 more, lift up just an inch, squeeze your block a whole bunch and lower back down. Pause for a second with 1 hand on your heart and 1 hand on your low belly. Feel the rise and fall of your breath, the beating of your heart. Let that be enough for a moment here. Middle ground is physical, but also mental. Coming back to the clarity and calm that helps us to stay balanced on 1 foot, on our mat, but also in our lives. Now taking this bridge maybe a little bit further, or perhaps staying with what we just did feels good to you. Hold the edges of your mat. If you don't have one, just palms flat on the ground. Shimmy your shoulder blades underneath you. Squeeze your block, lift your hips up. You might go a little bit higher than that 1 inch that we were talking about, or maybe that feels about right to you. I'd like you to imagine with your block being squeezed that you're growing long and that your tailbone now would like to go to the back of your knees. So your spine feels like there's plenty of space there, and then lower down and place a hand on your heart and a hand on your low belly. Find that other middle ground again. One last time, palms flat or hold the edges of your mat. Squeeze your block, lift your hips. Breathe a lot. We'll stay for 3 moments, a very long and strong back bend, not something where we're forcing a huge back bend to happen. Lower your hips down, remove your block and place it mindfully off to the side. And then we'll stay lying down on our back. I'm just going to sit up to show you what I'm up to. So when you're lying down on your back, you're going to do the eagle pose that we did basically, so knee on top of knee, and then you'll just hug that into your chest. So maybe if I'm seated upright, and even if you're seated upright, you can see what we're up to a little bit better before we lie down and do it, because I think this is maybe the first time that we've done this one together. So our first posture lying down will be that one, right knee over left knee, right? As if we were going to do a spinal twist, or as if we were doing that standing pose. And then just bring your knees into your chest, keep knee on top of knee, and you might be able to hold on to your shins. Some people actually like to hold the calf muscles and bring the heels away from each other a little bit. So we're in the adduction, meaning that the thighs are coming together, but this is actually a stretch for your outer hips. It might feel better to you to have your head on a block or on a folded blanket, so feel free. Just a few moments in this stretch. Let this turn into reclining pigeon. So stamp your left foot on the ground, slide your right ankle on top of your thigh so we become a figure 4. It's more of a hip stretch that we're familiar with. It can stay just like this, or thread the needle and hold on to the back of your left hamstring or the front of your left shin. Curl your right toes back and take a few moments. You're welcome to close your eyes. Allow there to be a softness to your jaw, your facial expression, your shoulders. 1 full minute of silence here in our reclining pigeon. And now gently place your feet on the ground. Cross this time your left knee over your right knee. Remember, it's like our standing pose that we did. It's like seated cross-legged. And then just bring those knees in towards you and hold on wherever it makes sense. So for me, the shins feel good to hold on to. You can hold your calf muscles and kind of draw the heels apart a little bit. Ask your body what it likes. No force, no agenda. And stay here a few moments in this outer hip stretch. And then slide it, so right foot stamps, left ankle on top of right thigh. It's fine to stay just like this. You don't have to hug or thread needles for it to be effective. But maybe you reach through the space and you interlace around your right hamstring or around your right shin. And then let's find that 1 minute of silence, our pigeon meditation moment. And that was 1 minute. Let's release. One last knee over knee. So right knee over left knee. If it doesn't feel good to twist this way, you can forget about our little theme, but it's kind of cute that it shows up here at the end. Scoot your hips to the right. Let your knees drop over to your left. Spinal twist. Come down the middle, stamp your feet hip distance, and then left knee over right knee. Scoot your hips to the left, let your knees fall to the right. Do you remember how we started with the block in our inner thighs? Can you kind of sense that that is still true with your knee crossed on top, or even if you're twisting without the cross, that there's a sense of the ghost of the block living on to our understanding of middle line. And then come down the middle and spill yourself across the floor into our Shavasana. You can come there by a wide-legged sense of our bridge. So knock knee your knees, step your feet as wide as your mat. Lift your hip that just 1 inch. Lower your hips so it feels like it's spacious in your lower back. And you can always stay here or extend one leg. And then the other into our final Shavasana meditation. You're welcome to stay here in our Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, reach your arms and legs away from each other. Collect your knees in your chest and roll to either side. Bring yourself up to a comfortable way to sit. Palms up or down. Maybe this will help you to find the middle ground and some balance even after we step off our yoga mats. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.